Hey everyone, it's Tim and Jack, and this is our video on what foods you may want to avoid. Alright, so food is always kind of a tricky topic to talk about. People get very sensitive about it, and mostly because many people think that their way is the right way or the only way, but Jack and I think people shouldn't be so close-minded. You just kind of have to understand that each and every person has their own unique biochemistry, physiology, and genetic makeup. So the foods that one person consumes may affect that person completely differently from someone else. For example, Jack might be able to eat all the cheese in the world, but if I have the smallest bit of cheese, I could be running to the bathroom every 30 minutes for the rest of the day. So Jack and I chose these foods for many reasons, but a couple of the main reasons we chose these food groups are because a lot of people do have digestive issues, tolerances, or even allergies with some or all of them, which could then lead into more serious problems. And also, consumption of these foods is not necessary for survival, so you don't need to eat any of these to live or to have a healthy lifestyle. Okay, so here are the top 5 foods that you may want to avoid.
All right, the first one we're going to talk about today is sugar. So sugar elevates the insulin levels and promotes fat storage. And excess sugar is stored as glycogen in the liver. And when that liver reaches its glycogen capacity, the glycogen is released into the bloodstream as triglycerides. Triglycerides are then stored as fat, and especially in those bad areas like your belly, your butt, thighs, and for the ladies, their breast. Consuming sugar can lead to insulin resistance, which can lead to diabetes, chronic and systemic inflammation, which then can lead to atherosclerosis and high cholesterol, and if you're unlucky enough, actually a heart attack. Alcohol, which is also a sugar, causes liver damage, which increases your stress hormones, decreases thyroid production, which can then overall lead to weight gain. Sugar as a whole, and especially in excess, can really increase the risk of many cancers. Can also contribute to over-acidification of your body, which then leads to bone and mineral loss. Sugar also increases your insulin-like growth factor, which will increase sebum levels in the skin, which produces more oils and unfortunately can lead to acne, skin breakouts, which no one wants. And last but not least, sugar can lead to inflammation of your gut and leaky gut syndrome, which can then manifest into a multitude of diseases. However, if you still want to get that sweet fix and you want to sweeten up your life a little bit, you can go with unprocessed, unfiltered honey, and can give you that kind of sweet taste without bombarding your body with really high levels of sugar. Another one is stevia. Stevia is an herb that is actually sweeter than sugar, but it doesn't contain any sugar-like compounds. Therefore, it won't increase your blood sugar levels when you're consuming it. Be careful. You don't need a ton to make whatever you're eating sweet.
Number 2, grains. So many grains contain a protein called gluten. You've all heard of it before. Some people think it's the devil, and some people think absolutely nothing of it. However, it's estimated that almost 50% of people have some form of gluten intolerance, which can lead to many allergic responses. In addition to that, 1% of the population has celiac disease, where they get severe allergic reactions upon gluten consumption. So, grains can also contribute to leaky gut or gut inflammation and have been linked to many digestive issues such as irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, or ulcerative colitis. And this can lead to malabsorption of key vitamins, minerals, and other nutrients in your body. In addition to that, grains also contain phytic acid, which is basically a mineral blocker that inhibits absorption of calcium, magnesium, iron, copper, and zinc. Phytic acid can also inhibit our own digestive enzymes, resulting in undigested food, malabsorption, and other digestive disorders. Grains are also not as nutrient dense as fruits and veggies, and are also converted into sugar relatively quickly, which will lead to that increase in blood glucose and insulin that Jack just talked about with sugar. So it's really, really similar to sugar in that regard. So basically, when consuming grains, you're eating a food that is high in calories and a little lower in vitamin, mineral, and trace vitamin and trace mineral content. So if you still feel like you need to eat grains and that you'll die without them, here's some better options. Try eating sprouted, organic, gluten-free whole grains like spirulina or Ezekiel. So the process of sprouting can actually be better because sprouting of grains actually breaks down many of the sugars responsible for intestinal gas. Sprouting also inactivates phytic acid and other toxins present in grains, and the actual sprouting of grains increases vitamin content of vitamin C, B2, B5, B6, and carotene.
Okay, number 3 is dairy. So first off, dairy comes from a cow, and coincidentally the cow has weirdly evolved its milk perfectly for humans to consume, digest, and absorb. Totally kidding, that is wrong. Cow milk is in fact designed for calves to drink, not humans. At birth, we are supposed to drink our mom's milk, which is completely different than cow's milk, since we require different vitamins and minerals to survive and thrive. It's not like we're drinking squirrel milk or rat's milk or a manatee's milk. So, that being said, humans are not genetically designed and have not evolved to consume, digest, and absorb cow milk. Because we aren't designed to digest and absorb that milk, there can be a ton of issues when consuming it. The majority of humans are lactose intolerant, which means they lack a specific enzyme that breaks down one of the main sugars in milk. So consumption can lead to a multitude of digestive issues, such as gas, bloating, indigestion, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, and leaky gut syndrome. A lot of bad stuff. But isn't milk good for you? And doesn't it have a ton of calcium in it? I hear that all the time, and contrary to popular belief, milk does have calcium in it, but your body can't really absorb it and use it to build stronger bones. There's actually no scientific evidence saying that milk prevents or reverses osteoporosis. In fact, countries that consume less milk have lower rates of osteoporosis. Pasteurization of milk destroys all enzymes that help digest and absorb milk. And it also destroys many vitamins and minerals that are present in milk. Growth hormones are injected into cows, as well as the increased levels of insulin-like growth factor 1, which can essentially make existing cancers reproduce and grow at an accelerated rate. Insulin-like growth factor 1 has been associated with breast cancer, human colorectal tumors, and colon cancer as well. So here are some of the other things that cow's milk can do to you. It can lead to a variety of allergies, sinus issues, asthma, acne, ear infections, diabetes, chronic constipation, and worst off, anemia in children. So, here are some other options you can choose if you want to consume dairy. If you want to drink cow's milk, just make sure that it's unpasteurized and organic. You'll have the enzymes and vitamins and minerals that your body will actually be able to absorb from it. And you also won't get any added hormones that may increase that insulin-like growth factor 1. If you still want to drink dairy but don't want cow's milk, have some unpasteurized organic goat milk. There's less lactose, so it's easier to break down and digest as well. It also has more medium and short chain fatty acids, which also makes it easier to break down and absorb. Many people also say that it doesn't give them digestive issues like bloating, gas, constipation, or diarrhea like cow's milk does. Last but not least, you can try organic almond milk or coconut milk. Really popular right now. There are many benefits to consuming coconuts, which we'll go over in a later video.
Number 4, soy. So we've all heard that soy is and has always been a health food. We've got tofu, soy burgers, tofurkey, silk or soy milk, all that super healthy stuff. But in reality, it's one of the worst things you can put in your body. People think that soy was a staple in Asian countries. Soy was used and consumed in Asian cultures for thousands of years. So would you guess that the average diet in Asia consists of about 50% soy? How about 40%? Seems about right? Well, it's actually a little over 1%. So I think it's safe to say that soy was not a staple in Asian cultures. Interesting fact, a long time ago, Henry Ford gave his team, a chemist, a bag of soy and said, hey, you guys seem like some pretty smart dudes, figure something out we can use this soy stuff for. Car parts. Henry Ford made a car that had car parts made of soy. He also made a suit out of soy, but he said you shouldn't bend over too much or the material is going to rip. Moving on, about 90% of soy is genetically modified, and many GMO foods are carcinogenic and lead to infertility, immune problems, accelerated aging, faulty insulin regulation, and changes in major organs and your gastrointestinal system. Soy also has trypsin inhibitors. Trypsin is a protease, which is an enzyme that breaks down proteins. Therefore, soy decreases your ability to digest protein, which is interesting because how can soy be a good source of protein yet it contains protease inhibitors that interfere with protein digestion and absorption? I don't know. Phytic acid is also found in soy. Remember that anti-nutrient or mineral blocker that we talked about with grains? Yeah, it's the same thing. It's still not good. It has goitrogens that damage the thyroid, lectins that clump red blood cells, oxalates that have been linked to those very painful kidney stones, and isoflavones or plant estrogens that disrupt human hormones. Soy is also super artificially processed to make it taste better. It wasn't palatable when it first was considered to be a food, so chemists and food scientists had to add tons of flavor enhancing chemicals. So soy products would actually taste like crap, but they're laced with MSG, sugar, and other flavor enhancing chemicals. In my opinion, the food chemists still have quite a bit of work to do on that. Probably the most horrific scheme that the food industry dreamed up was using soy in infant formula. The resulting product lacks many of the key nutrients that babies require. Soy formula can expose an infant to the estrogen equivalent of 3 to 5 birth control pills a day. This wreaks havoc on boys and girls' hormonal control. To anyone outside of the soy industry, that is an incredibly bad idea. And if you're an adult, you're really lucky because phytoestrogens actually make you stronger and more powerful than ever. No, that's actually a lie. It still wreaks havoc on your body and greatly increases your risk of getting fibroids, endometriosis, tons of different types of cancers, and weight gain. So, substitutes for soy, plain and simple, eat real food.
Number 5 is processed food. Okay, so the average American consumes a diet of a whopping 70% coming from processed foods. This is pretty terrible since we were designed and evolved to eat 0% processed foods and 100% whole natural foods. Now, if you aren't sure what a processed food is exactly, the best way to tell if it's processed is if it comes in a box, bag, or carton. So, processed foods also contain a broad variety of chemicals and additives. They lack a variety of much needed enzymes for digestion. Unprocessed foods, on the other hand, contain enzymes in them that allows for you to properly and efficiently digest. Processed food as a whole have very little or maybe even no helpful digestive enzymes within the food itself. Processed foods also stimulate dopamine. That's a feel-good neurotransmitter that lights up your brain in a similar way that drugs do. And food companies actually know this and engineer their products to have this effect. Processed foods also have amazingly disgusting ingredients. For instance, titanium dioxide, which is used in paints and sunscreen, also found in salad dressing, coffee creamer, and cake icing. Another one's silicon dioxide. It's also known as sand. It's found in canned and fast food chili. Another is lanolin. It's an oily substance found in sheep's wool and is an additive and found in chewing gum. Another is cellulose, which is ground up wood pulp and is used in anti-caking agent and bagged cheese. And lastly is sodium bisulfite. That's essentially found in toilet bowl cleaning chemicals and it's used in potato chips. So processed foods will just make you fat. Essentially, research has shown that the Western diet, which is prevalent in the US, UK, and Australia, will absolutely make you very fat. Potato chips, sugar-sweetened beverages, refined grains, and sugary snacks, in particular, are the four main processed foods that cause you to gain the most weight over time. They've also been the root cause of every modern disease. There's a comprehensive research review of 172 clinical studies published in the Journal of American Nutrition. And that concluded that virtually all chronic diseases are partially caused by our modern diet of engineered foods. So, processed foods lack nutrients, vitamins, and trace minerals, and they make you fat, and most likely, and worst off, will give you some kind of disease. So, what can you do? What are some better alternatives? Remember, if it comes in a bag, a box, just get rid of it. It's probably not real or very nutritious. Long story short is, just eat whole organic foods.
Okay, so I know this video was a long one, so if you forgot which foods to avoid, well, they are sugar, grains, dairy, soy, and processed foods. We understand that there are tons of other foods or other food groups out there that people think are unhealthy, but we just thought these were the ones consumed by most people that raise the most concern. So the main takeaway with all of this is that you absolutely 100% need to be careful with the choices you make when buying and consuming food. Luckily, your body is extremely intelligent and will do a great job at keeping you as healthy as it can for as long as it can. But if you're eating the wrong foods, over time it will break down. Okay, well, thanks for watching our video on our top 5 foods you should avoid. We're Jack and Tim. Stay fit, stay healthy.